All right, let's just jump right into this. I want you to imagine something. You have your best financial year ever. We're talking tens of millions of dollars rolling in, but you end up calling it the absolute hardest year of your life. Not physically, but spiritually and emotionally. That's the paradox we're going to unpack today, using the tough lessons learned by entrepreneur Eamon Gadzhi.
And this quote right here, this is the whole thing in a nutshell. It's such a powerful warning, and it kind of flips everything we're taught about chasing our dreams on its head. So how on earth does a dream come true become a nightmare? Well, let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First up, we're going to look at that massive gap between dreaming of something and actually getting it. Then, we'll dive into the hidden costs, the heavy burdens of that success. And finally, we're going to land on what's probably the most important part, how to figure out what kind of life is actually authentic to you.
Okay, part one. Let's start with a story. A story about a dream that was 10 years in the making. A goal that was so built up, so idealized, that when it finally happened, it almost broke everything. You have to understand, for Gadzhi, this wasn't just a goal. It was the goal. Forget making millions. Forget the fame. For an entire decade, his main focus was buying his mom her dream house. He imagined that perfect moment, handing her the keys. He played it over and over in his head.
And he did it. He made good on that 10-year promise. Dropped $4 million cash on this beautiful home for her. This should have been the happiest day. The ultimate win, right? Wrong. What happened next was the single worst 3 months of their relationship ever. The dream moment, it just imploded.
So what in the world happened? Well, Gadzhi had this painful realization that some people, especially people who've had to struggle their whole lives, get kind of addicted to having problems. When he just swooped in and solved all his mom's money issues and basically retired her, he took away her purpose. And with no other problems to fix, he, her son, became the new problem. It's a wild but really powerful piece of human psychology.
And that brings us to the biggest lesson from this story. By building this one moment up for 10 years, there was no way the reality could ever match the fantasy he'd built in his head. The hard truth is, once you hit that goal, you have zero, and I mean zero, control over how other people are going to react or even how you're truly going to feel.
All right, so let's move on to our next part, because it all builds on this idea. You'd think that after you hit your big dream, life would just get easier. But as your success grows, so do the problems. This is what Gadzhi calls the burden of being the king. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. He claims, straight up, that his quality of life today is substantially worse than it was a few years back when he was making way less money. How is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to a really simple analogy he uses. He talks about the difference between being a prince and being a king. See, the prince, he has a great life, makes good money, has some fun, but not a ton of responsibility. There's less pressure, he can actually be present and enjoy things. But the king, well, the king is responsible for the entire kingdom. We're talking hundreds of employees, constant problems to solve, there is no off switch. You completely lose that sense of peace. And that's the real gut punch, right? The very thing you need to achieve that massive king-level success, immense responsibility, is in a head-on collision with the one thing most of us really want deep down, which is just peace. Peace of mind and the ability to just be. And the costs keep piling up. You stop playing offense and start playing defense, just trying to protect everything you've built. You have to accept that when your business gets big enough, some people are going to skim from you and there's nothing you can do about it. And real downtime, forget about it. He literally says he felt more peace staring out the window on an economy flight making $20K a month than he does now flying at a private jet. So all of this leads us to the final part, and honestly, the most important lesson of them all. If that picture-perfect version of success we all see online doesn't actually bring you happiness or peace, then what's the point? The point is finding a life that's truly, authentically yours. I want you to think about that dream you see all over social media. The laptop lifestyle, financial freedom, working a couple hours a day from some beach in Bali. Well, Eamon Gadzhi says that idea, that's his worst nightmare. He actually hates vacations and says the idea of just lying on a beach with nothing to do gives him anxiety. So if that's his nightmare, what does he find relaxing? What does his authentic life actually look like? Get this, running 3 marathons on 3 different continents in 1 week. Yeah, to him, that intense physical challenge is more fulfilling and, believe it or not, more relaxing than any vacation could ever be. And that's the whole point.
His paradise is not the one you see on Instagram. And this is where it all comes back to us. It forces you to ask a really tough question. The goals you're grinding for, are they actually your goals? Or are you just following a script that society or social media handed you? Are you chasing your own dream, or are you just chasing somebody else's?
And that's it. That's the ultimate lesson from all these hard truths. Stop looking at someone else's life and wanting it, because you have no idea about the hidden burdens and nightmares that come along with it. The real goal isn't to copy-paste someone else's version of success. It's to figure out and then go build a life that is truly, deeply, and authentically your own.